Now, I'm at WMMR one night. Marcus Goldman and Jackie Bam Bam are in the booth, and they're talking, and Jackie looks at me and goes, Ninja, who's the better band? Who's more loved by fans, Iron Maiden or Metallica? And I was like, that's a good one, because Maiden is an international success underground, but huge influencers. They're top three of heavy metal. You got Sabbath, Priest, Iron Maiden. They are the godfathers. And then you got Metallica, which is huge all over the world. Most successful metal band in history. So you got to think about that. And I was like, you know what? You really got to take it down to the concert experience because the music varies. Iron Maiden is very more story based, story driven, and the chord progressions tend to stay the same in the music, even though they got some really wild, good songs. Everything tends to have a formula to it. Metallica has experimented a little bit more. I love Load. Let it be known. I know people hate that album and Reload and the Black Album, but just saying, Metallica's experimented. They don't have as many story-driven songs as Maiden does, but they do have hype songs and quick songs, little diddlies. They take a turn here and there. So that's the one thing I gotta give it. Both bands musically a little different, but the songwriting is still phenomenal. So I thought about it and I said I'll do a review of my experiences at the shows real quick because both bands are just so good. I've seen Maiden 3 times, I've seen Metallica twice. Both bands on their last current tour. So for all you purists that saw them in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, I'm sorry, this is just where I'm at now. Now, one thing I do have to comment on, because I feel like this is really important, is the pre-show. Something about a Maiden show is so relaxed and nice. Every show, I don't care what it is, you're going to have the drunks and the partiers and the pre-gamers, but a Maiden show, when I was there to see them the first time in 2016 for the Book of Souls, and I'm in line with a bunch of people with different nationalities, different races for GA, up close and personal, talking to people from South America, people from Africa. I'm like, this is freaking wild. It's such an array of people, but it was real relaxed and a calm excitement. But Metallica, whoa, that's where the drunks and the idiots and all the crazies came out. People partying, and there was electricity in the air. There's no way to describe a Metallica pre-show. Even when I went to see them at the Wells Fargo Center after the link, so much excitement. Everyone's ready to go, ready to rumble. And of course, both shows you got people reminiscing about their past. But man, those shows for Metallica were just really, really raw. That was a good time, the pre-shows for that, especially just sitting back and tailgating with people. Now, let's go to the part of the actual shows. Now, if you people haven't seen an Iron Maiden show or Metallica show, look it up on YouTube. Iron Maiden's probably more theatrical and more fun than Metallica seeing live because Bruce Dickinson is a madman on stage. That's what people say, but he knows how to cater to the song. Whatever they're doing with the stage production, he'll go along with it. They play Power Slave. He's wearing a mask. They play the Klansman. He's got a sword swinging it around. The Trooper, he's wearing the British soldier jacket and waving the Union flag. A lot of cool things he puts into the song to make it come alive. He'll sing, but then he'll do a little extra, just like Ian Gillan of Deep Purple or Arthur Brown. If you don't know who that is, that music is playing right now. Fire, look it up on YouTube. But shock rock was the game for Arthur Brown. So what Bruce does is he tries and makes it alive, tries and brings you into it. He said you got to blow your ego up and try and make the person in the back feel like they're close. He does a great job of that. James is a little bit more straightforward. He'll talk to you, but it's all, we're part of the Metallica family. We're here to have a good time. I hope you're having a good time. Thank you for being here. Let's rock, and then keep going. And the stage sets for Metallica are really nice sometimes. They had, for Wired Tour, they had these boxes that would come down and do different imaging and go up and down, and they could do a lot with the set in the middle. But gotta give it to Iron Maiden, because Bruce will say things that will catch you off guard if you're not smart. Like especially when he went, "This is Klansman with a C." People are thinking like, oh, that's pretty clever, because most people are like KKK, so Klansman with a K would have been bad, but Klansman with a C, there we go. You get the example. But let's go to the fact that I couldn't say let's, and now moving on. Let's go to some of the things about those shows that I remember and really enjoyed. The Madison Square Garden show was phenomenal. I loved it, but the shows at the Wells Fargo Center mean a lot more to me for Iron Maiden. And seeing Metallica at the Link was just a huge moment. Like, they really controlled the whole entire stadium. in the palm of their hand. But seeing at the Wells Fargo Center was just up close and personal. I had great seats for both shows. But the way I broke it down is, here are the things that made me literally think like this show is amazing. The first one would be the surprise songs. The surprise song for Metallica for me was, you guessed it, The Day That Never Comes. Because I wanted to see that since I was a kid. When it came out in 2008, Death Magnetic, I had to miss that show for my cousin's wedding. So I was a little bummed about that. But, lo and behold, they played it here in Philly. And I remember I was like, oh my God! I hugged my friend Zach and I was like, you're doing it! So that was a nice song to mark off the list, and like, I'm finally seeing it. For Iron Maiden and Legacy of the Beast tour, they played Evil That Men Do. And I forgot the set list, because Maiden usually posts the set list and everyone can see it on their social media. Metallica does too, but Metallica changes it up night to night. So with Maiden, you know exactly what you're going to get. But when they played Evil That Men Do, I forgot about it. I was like, oh, we're playing this song. All right, say less. Bets. So, you know, and it's such a good thing to see when there's songs that you grew up with, songs that you love, and they just come out of it. Now, favorite moments for the bands. This one was huge. So Iron Maiden plays the Trooper, and Bruce usually waves the Union Jack. And what ended up happening was, I was watching, I was playing along, and he brings out an American flag and starts waving it. And then he shoots Eddie with it during the Trooper. And I was like, holy hell, that is like the coolest thing I have ever seen. It was one of those things where you're like, I never thought that would happen. And it was a really great, again, Iron Maiden catering to the theatrics. Now, for Metallica, especially this one, my favorite moment was when they played Spit Out the Bone. Because that's my favorite. Whole song is just a masterpiece. That's my favorite off of Hardwire. And it blows my mind that it's not bigger than it is, because, again, best song off the whole freaking album. But them playing that, oh my God, I learned that song. I even brought posters for them to let me play that and Creeping Death on stage, but they wouldn't let me get it past security. And I tried everything. I tried getting people at MMR to take it in. I tried hiding it. It just did not go through. But seeing that song being played live, especially when I saw them the first time at the Link and they didn't play it, they played Battery instead, I was just like, ah. So I gotta say, it was really good to see Hardwired played and then just sit there and like, they played Spit Out the Bone. I love that song. So that was my favorite moment from Metallica. As far as best songs, Maiden, again, Legacy of the Beast tour, Wicker Man. Just love that song. That was another big song for me learning to play. When Brave New World came out, I didn't know how to take it. I was like, this is rock and roll, this is amazing. So listening to that song was great. Creeping Death from Metallica, definitely another really, really big song for me. Can definitely play that song backwards, forwards, and seeing that song live, again, I don't care how many times I see it, I love it, especially the part where they are screaming like, die, die, die. I always think of Jason, and right before James comes back in and starts singing, I'll be like, Jason would be proud, and then, die, my hand. I do the same thing for the Wicker Man. Like, there's a part where at the end he's like, your time will come, and then I just add right before the ending licks, it's just a matter of a day, and then boom, whoa. All you fans know what I'm talking about. If you haven't heard these songs, you have to listen. But I gotta give it to, those were some really, really fun moments for me. Spoils of War. Now, I had some really interesting moments happen. Now, for Iron Maiden afterwards, I had such a great time, and unbeknownst to me, you know, I got people from MMR behind me seeing me act like a jackass and singing and waving my hands and air drumming and playing guitar. I was feeling so good. I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can do something. So I walked to the end because, you know, we're in the back. We're still doing well sight-wise, but, you know, there's no chance we can, like, get a pick or anything. So I walked to the security guard. I was like, sir, excuse me, I'm sorry. May you please ask the guy in the booth over there for a set list? And he goes, what? I goes, sir, could you please ask him for a set list? And he goes, you know what, give me a second. So he goes, talks to his dude, and he talks to a superior, and then I see a lady come out. She's got a bunch of papers in her hand, and she gives him one. And then I get a set list, and I'm like, oh my God. I was like, thank you so much, man. I pretended to actually cry a little bit, so, you know, be a little bit more dramatic for him, so it seems like he actually made a difference in my life. But I walked away with Iron Maiden set list, and that was like, oh, 1 in a million shot. and God's blessings had happened. Then we go to Metallica. This one's a little bit more special. I gotta give it up here. My buddy Zach saw Metallica throw picks at the crowd, and just hundreds of picks they're throwing at everybody. Everyone's like scamming, punching, digging, crawling, elbowing, trying to get a pick. Like, people are searching everywhere for these things. So he says, let's go down and see if we could get a pick, because it reached the lower levels, because Metallica's in the middle of the stadium. So I said, okay, no problem, let's go. And we're searching, people are searching, and I'm looking, and I just remember praying. I was like, God, let me find a pick for him. And lo and behold, and I got to give it to my father's training. If you're looking for something, the peripheral is really important. But I looked down, and I saw a pick. I saw a pick by Metallica for the Philly tour, and I was just like, I can't believe it. I picked it up, I looked at it, and I let Zach keep looking, see if he could get one, and he didn't. And we're walking back up the stage, and I said, clap my hand. I clapped it, and I put the pick in his hand, and I was so happy. And he's like, oh, you son of a bitch. He wouldn't take the pick. I was trying to give him the pick. That was his gift, because I wouldn't have found it if he didn't want me to go down there. But he was like, no, you keep it, that's yours. And I kind of feel bad about it, but in my head, that is Zach's pick. So, but that's another one of those moments where, like, all those people, literally security telling over 200 people, 300 people, you gotta go, and they're just like, screw you, we're gonna look for a pick. And I was blessed again, God's blessings, fortunate to find one. It is something to not take lightly. So, and the best thing about seeing those shows is the feeling afterwards. Comparing them, Metallica, you rocked your ass off and you feel like you have nothing more to give. You came, you sang, you were headbanging, and then afterwards you just, whoa, what a ride. But then again, for Maiden, you never want it to end. Maiden goes and flies by, and you're like, no, it's over. But I think the best thing Marcus said, one of the guys at WMMR, he says, after the concert, you leave feeling good. That's how you're supposed to feel after a concert. You feel accomplished, like you got a great show. And with Maiden, you don't want it to end. Metallica, you're like, okay, I am out of breath. Maiden, you're like, come on, please, more. And I think that's where it's at, because when you look at both bands, the one thing I love about Metallica is they're a force. They are so tight musically, and when I say tight, I mean they play notes at the same time. They're on the same page. They're so strong in music that it's literally a sight to behold. You can't help but be impressed. And for the things they've gone through, the lineup changes, the musical tastes they've had, the things they've done, for them to be this good still. People shit on Lars all the time, but his drumming is unique to that band, and it's so important, because other people have filled in for Metallica. Joey Jordison of Slipknot, they had Dave Lombardo one time, but nothing really gels like Lars. Lars has a certain hit, and James has a certain way of going up and down the neck. And of course, Kurt, freaking genius when it comes to playing guitar. And then if you people sleep on Robert Trujillo's musical talents, I should slap you, because this dude can do it all. But then again, Iron Maiden, they're just masters of the craft. Every time you hear them, everything's fluid. It's flawless. It doesn't even seem like they're trying. And it is literally a spectacle. People love Janet because he's running around being a jackass, having a good time, and I love that too. But yeah, think about it. This dude still can play. All the members of Iron Maiden are masters of their instruments. So when you think about these bands, you can't help but say, this is amazing. But for the most part, I gotta give it to Iron Maiden, man. I gotta give it to Maiden. As far as the show goes, Maiden puts on a show that is unlike any other, and you want more. And I think the fan base is just a little bit more loyal, just a little bit more aggressive for them. Because one thing I noticed, and I'm not making it a color thing, Maiden has fans everywhere. And every show I go to, there's always a fan from some country or some forsaken area. Wait, you came all the way to Philadelphia from Texas, from South America, from Canada? You're from Europe? I had a guy from Japan there. He said, no, I live in Japan. I just wanted to see them. And I was like, what the fuck? They literally just toured Europe. And he's like, oh, I couldn't make it, and I always wanted to visit America. So, Metallica, you got fans all over. you know, but I've never seen that much diversity at the shows. I might be wrong. There's fans from all over the world that go to these shows, but with Maiden, you see it and you know it. So I got to give it to Maiden, especially. But the one thing Metallica I do love more that they do after shows and Maiden doesn't do is they offer their shows online. You could get them on CD or an MP3. I got the first one they did at the link on CD, and I got the second one on MP3. But Maiden doesn't do that. They do the old school, let's gather up songs that we did during this tour, and then we'll release it on a CD. And it's really nice when you can hear a band's whole concert that you were at, and you remember certain things or certain details. You're not going to remember everything. You never do, but it's one of those things where it's like, wow, that was cool. I remember this or that. So, Metallica, I love you guys, but Maiden's just got a little bit more. You can feel free to disagree with me. Again, these are my quick experiences. I don't want to, blabber on about the whole thing or the whole time. I could do another video on the particular shows I was at, but that's a little quick run through of what happened with those shows and who I think came out on top. So don't forget to like, comment, and thanks for listening.